You've had candidates calling immigrants a plague. You've had candidates who say Muslims should be removed from the UK.
Really?
You've had a candidate that claims that Africans have a low IQ. Why do you think that people with really extreme and unpleasant views rally to your cause?
And then we employed a big vetting company.
We will be vetting candidates.
Vetting process worked for this year. I can't apologise for what happened before.
Nigel Farage wants to claim he's professionalised the party, but he just gave the same old bigotry a better suit and a louder microphone. He spent months promising rigorous vetting to clear out the extremists. And under this new professionalised party, he spends half his time talking about the dictatorship of the current government. Then yesterday, he unveiled that the members have selected Matt Goodwin as their candidate for the Gorton and Denton by-election.
So what I'm going to do is just sit here and eat my book while you guys carry on. It's actually a hardback. There are lots of chemicals, but I've got to get through the whole thing, so...
And by members, I actually mean by one person, one vote, Nigel's vote. So I have a theory, and I'm going to show you how I think reform are turning the British Parliament into a content farm, where the people who actually live in their constituencies are just going to be ghosted. Now, we all heard the excuses. When the 2024 candidates were caught praising Hitler or calling immigrants plague, Farage blamed a big vetting company for not doing the job. He told the BBC that he can't apologise for what happened before he took over, promising that the new process would be professionalised.
So the vetting process worked for this year. I can't apologise for what happened before.
But look at that professional result. Their pick for the Gorton and Denton by-election is Matt Goodwin, a man who goes on national TV to claim that white Britons will be a minority by 2063.
Why are we experiencing a political realignment, a historic moment in British politics that will, at the next general election, deliver a reform government led by Nigel Farage? By the year 2063, white Britons will be a minority in the United Kingdom. Among the under 40s, that will happen as early as 2050. By the year 2079, people born outside of the United Kingdom and their immediate descendants will represent a majority in the entire United Kingdom.
When asked to disown the claim that your citizenship is just a piece of paper, Goodwin didn't even blink. He just pivoted to his national voice.
Good afternoon. Just talking more locally, what's the single concrete change you would deliver for Denton in Gorton your first year, potentially, as an MP? Not a national slogan, but something the residents here would directly be impacted by.
It's not a politician's answer. There's not one thing. Let me give you a few things. I think people locally are very angry about HMOs. Yeah. I think they're very angry about what's happening to the high street and what used to be thriving markets and what's happened to the town centres. I think they're very annoyed about crime and antisocial behaviour. And as I said in my speech, at what point did it become acceptable to just allow shoplifting and antisocial behaviour in this country? When did that become acceptable?
Just again, a local one. I mean, there's been a few developments in Denton particularly that looks to rejuvenate the town. In fact, we're actually sat in one now. If reform win, would you look to work with the people looking to invest in Denton and create it into a more thriving town centre?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think that's one of the big issues locally. But in order to do that, you've got to start supporting small businesses much more than we're doing currently. And what we're doing is we're crippling small businesses in this seat, like we're crippling them across the country, with excessive regulation, high taxes, high business rates. So businesses are going bust. I mean, we are sucking the lifeblood out of our economy by smashing the very things that used to drive this economy and used to make us a prosperous nation.
So if your vetting system lets a guy through who uses the same demographic fear-mongering as the far right, then your system isn't broken. It's working exactly as intended.
They're both okay with mass migration.
Farage claims he's leading a people's army, but the official parliamentary record tells a very different story. Since being elected in July of 2024, Farage has made exactly 40 spoken contributions in the House of Commons, which is already a low amount. The average MP speaks over 190 contributions over the same 18-month period. And out of the 40 times he's managed to open his mouth, guess how many times he's mentioned Clacton? Go on, have a guess. Well, yeah, you're pretty close, to be fair. It was 4. 4 times out of 40 contributions. He's not in Westminster to help fix the tendering district, and we know for a fact that he doesn't do surgeries. He just treats his seat like a VIP pass to the BBC studios, ignoring his constituents the second the red light goes out. And now they're trying to do the same grift in Manchester. At his launch yesterday, Matt Goodwin didn't talk about what he would do for the people of Gorton. He didn't mention local services or specific community needs. Instead, he called a by-election a referendum on Keir Starmer.
This by-election is actually a referendum. It's a referendum on Keir Starmer. Let me say that again. This by-election is a referendum on Keir Starmer. It's a chance for the hard-working, law-abiding, tax-paying people from this seat to have their say on Keir Starmer and to make political history.
When asked about the local South Asian and Muslim populations, Goodwin refused to address them directly, pivoting again instead to the national grievances.
There's a large South Asian population in this seat, a large Muslim population in this seat. What's your message to them?
My message to everybody in this seat is if you are working hard, paying taxes, contributing to this economy, you should be as concerned by what's happening in number 10 Downing Street as I am. We have got a government under Keir Starmer that is clearly not in touch with the people in this seat.
He even admitted his value isn't local knowledge, but a national voice, that it won't be ignored in Westminster. He's not running to be a servant of Denton, he's running to be a thorn in Starmer's side for the sake of his own Twitter engagement. It is nice, though, when he does get called out for it, and there is pushback. I hope he gets more of this in the coming weeks.
Corners, this is what they say, you push unfounded claims. You said on GB News, for example, falsely, and I quote, more than 50% of social housing in London is now occupied by people who are not British. This is not acceptable. Well, forget not being acceptable. It's not true.
I think it's about that. I think it's about 47, 48.
It's not, actually. The percentage of people who are not British in London social housing is about 14%. No. 85% of people are British citizens.
No, so my view would be, in terms of housing, we're in the middle of a housing crisis. I think we should have a principle of national preference in our housing market.
We do. 85% of people in London are British who are in social housing. No, you falsely said that more than 50% are not British. That's false.
No, across the country, more generally.
Across the country, it's 90% according to the Ministry of Housing.
When we were allocating social housing, we also used to take into account things like commitment to the community, looking after property, etc. We don't really do that anymore.
That's a fair point. That's not what you said, though. I just want to go with what you said, Matt, with respect. More than 50% of social housing in London is now occupied by people who are not British. That is not true.
I'd need to look at the statistics.
We have the statistics. According to London government,
I also wrote
the figure in London is 84%. According to the 2021 census data, only 14% of Londoners living in social housing did not hold a UK passport. This has been pointed out to you for the last year.
No, it hasn't.
In fact, you went back on GB News and corrected it and said 48% go to people who are headed by people who are not born in Britain, which is a different point. But you would accept the vast majority of people in social housing are British.
I'd need to look at the data.
I've got the data.
No.
It's right here.
The fact that 48, I think the 48,
copied and pasted.
I think the fact that 48% of social housing in this country has gone to families that are headed by somebody who was not born in the country is a problem.
So that's a different argument, with respect.
Well,
and let's talk about that argument.
Well, let's have that.
No, let's have that argument. You were wrong on the first point.
I don't think I was wrong on the first
point.
You're
100% wrong.
Well, I'd like to look at the data.
The Mayor of London, the census data.
I don't think the Mayor of London would be a credible source on that.
OK, the London government. The London government don't know who the... All right, how about
a highly political figure.
All right, how about the Ministry of Housing? 90% of social homes go to UK nationals. You're making some sweeping claims and they're wrong. You also said on right-wing channel GB News that I bet nobody knew this, but it's not a criminal offence to hire illegal immigrants in this country. That's not true either. You can be sent to jail for 5 years, according to the British government.
No, I don't think that's right. You can hire, under certain conditions, people that haven't got full-time
If you didn't know, we checked with the Department of Justice. You can be sent to jail for 5 years if you're found guilty of employing someone who knew or had reasonable cause to believe did not have the right to work in the UK. What you said on GB News was just false.
Why, for example, have the French spent much of the last year saying that we are a soft touch when it comes to illegal migration?
Maybe the French, like you, didn't check the facts.
No, well, maybe. Who do I trust? I mean, French Interior Minister.
You trust the French Interior Minister over our own Ministry of Justice?
No, what I'm saying
is
it's very easy in the UK to game the system, a lot easier than it is in other European
Matt, I agree
countries.
with you, but that's a different point.
No, it
you
isn't
can
a different point.
It is, Matt. This is my whole point.
All of this
you can make legitimate arguments, but you don't. You say things that are flat false.
But if he does win the by-election, I have a big feeling this is the start of how representation dies. It doesn't happen with a sudden collapse. It happens when the people we elect decide that their national voice is more important than the local people who give it to them. Nigel Farage and Matt Goodwin aren't running to join the system. They're running to bypass it. They want the seats, they want the salaries, and they want the cameras, but they have no interest in doing the work. When you treat the House of Commons like a content farm and your constituents like your ghosted Tinder matches, the Senate has already been dissolved. You just haven't seen the final act yet.
The Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us. I have just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the old Republic have been swept away.